This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Brueski.
We're talking with Shavaun Scott, psychotherapist and author, about last week's sentencing in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell, specifically talking about victim impact statements. And there were some very, very powerful ones made that day, along with some very crazy statements by Lori Vallow Daybell and her attorney. Let's talk about the victim impact statements. Obviously, I think it's a great thing that people are able to get out there, say their piece to the person who victimized them, their perpetrator. My question would be, how often, and once this is said and done, do victims find peace? Do they find what they were looking for by being able to get out there in front of the person who did these sort of things and go back and walk away with some sort of sense of closure? Or does sometimes this have the opposite effect, as when you watch Lori Daybell's responses to things? I don't find it all that satisfying if I were the person laying some of these things out.
I think it's important that people have the opportunity to speak, and they do receive validation from the judge and from other people in the courtroom. They get a sense of, people are at least paying enough attention to listen to me. And I think that's healing. But yes, I think often they do hope for some kind of expression of remorse, some kind of sense of shame from the perpetrator. And we certainly don't see that happening here. Lori looks disconnected, as if she's above this whole thing. And she frankly turns away as if she's not even paying any attention. So I don't think there's going to be that satisfaction.
That is a lot of what we're seeing here, and I'm not remotely surprised at all. Is this a defense mechanism within Lori? Like, do you think there is a level of Lori somewhere hiding deep down underneath all of the hair that she does feel these sort of things, some sort of an impact, but she can't? It's too unbearable to express, and that's why you get the recoiling, if you will, and not able and doing everything she can to not feel it or soak in what's being said in front of her.
I think that's an explanation that a normal person would accept, that this is just too painful, so she's not going to let herself absorb it or go there. But what we did learn today from the little bit of testimony about what's in this PSI report, which is the pre-sentence investigation report prepared for the court by the probation department that takes in all these various factors and tries to come up with a recommendation for sentencing. So we heard today that there are two psych evals listed in the report, and both of them have agreed on a diagnosis for her of delusional disorder with grandiose persecutory delusions and hyper-religiosity. So a person like that, they believe fully in their story. And therefore, anything that contradicts their story is simply rejected. She just is not going to get it. She's not going to see it. And disorders like this are really difficult to treat, difficult to work with. Medication does not necessarily make them any better. And it's an unusual situation, but I don't think that any of it is going to sink in with her.
And that's quite a diagnosis. That's a fun little cocktail, if you will, of diagnosing. It really is.
It's very dangerous. And fortunately, it's fairly rare. You don't see this happen very often.
Is this something, the diagnosis comes about because of the behavior? I mean, are these things that she would have been already open to having, or was it the perfect storm of meeting Chad that ended up creating the Lori that we have today, or are these conditions that were lingering prior to even Chad coming about and all of that chapter taking place?
As best we can put together from watching interviews with so many of her relatives that have come forth and really tried to put the pieces together, is that in the year or two before she met Chad, she was becoming increasingly preoccupied with the end of times and evil and literal beliefs in demons, and this hyper-religiosity was manifesting. Yeah. So I think this delusional disorder was really taking hold and really manifesting. Now, had it been there earlier, she had always been somewhat grandiose and narcissistic, but that's personality stuff. That's sort of different. So this delusional thinking was a layer on top of that. And then I think because she fit so beautifully with Chad's delusional and grandiose thinking, the two of them were really an accelerant for each other. So when you got those two together, combined sex, combined greed, combined power, this urge to have followers and in essence create their own cult, those two became very dangerous.
Is it like hitting all of the almost, you think of addiction, you think of, there's triggers to whatever chemicals in our body make us happy and excited. The setup that she had and the way that her mind works, was it just like the perfect storm of all of these things just triggering, this is happy, this is good, this is right, no matter how wrong and horrible the ideas may have been?
Yeah, exactly. It really was the perfect storm. That's the exact way to describe it. That if those two had not gotten together, I think all these people would still be alive.
Sure. What role should rehabilitation play in her future? Can it be done?
With this kind of person, you can manage them in a structured environment. So she probably will do fine in prison. She's cogent and can follow the rules. And basically she's proven that she can play a game and she can get along. But I don't see her ever being a safe person to be managed outside of prison. I don't think we're going to see that happen.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
with Tony Brueski.